Math champions, welcome to More Math.
Brought to you by Math with Janet. I'm Charley Moore.
I'm Ruby Moore, and today we will be doing the activity Sharing Brookies.
You might be wondering, what the heck are Brookies? Well, I'm here to tell you. A Brookie is half cookie and half brownie. Sort of. And it happens to be our favorite treat around our house. And today we only have one Brookie that me and Ruby have to share.
Let's play math. This task is a modified version of the activity created by Dr. Bob Mann at Western Illinois University.
The rule is that you have to cut it with one straight line, no zigzags or curvy lines. And the challenge is to see how many possible ways you can cut the Brookie so it's equal to share.
Since the Brookie is a rectangle, first we're going to use these index cards to plan out different ways we can cut the Brookie.
We think we have some ideas, so we're going to draw it out and then compare. Okay, we've got a few. Let's compare.
Okay.
My first one was this way diagonal.
My first one was down the middle.
My second one was, was down the middle, but...
Yes, yeah. And then my second one was cutting it the opposite diagonal way.
I did a third one, and my third one was cutting it from side to side. Before we do anything else, we should double check to see if we know that this will cut the Brookie exactly in half, so we'll both get an equal share.
Yeah, for some of these, it's a little bit more obvious because if you folded this paper in half across that line, our lines were approximate, but if you folded it in half, sort of along that line, for both ways, yeah, that way and this way, you will get that each of them lay on top of each other nicely so that you know they're each exactly 1/2. For these ones, it's a little bit trickier because if you fold it along the line, it gets a bit odd. And it ends up like that, or, you know, if I folded it better, it would end up like, there we go.
This is not half at all.
Well, it doesn't overlap perfectly, but that does not mean that it's not 1/2. Could I have some scissors? So my cutting was kind of bad, but if you reposition them and flipped it over, you would see that they both line up equally this way.
Can I double check and try it on mine?
Sure, yeah.
Alright, so we reposition.
There we go. Pretty good. So we found a few different possibilities and ways that we could cut the Brookie, but we need to know if we found all of them.
So should we put the ones that we found so far on the board?
Yeah. Okay, are there any other ways that we can cut this Brookie?
I don't know. Should we try some? Not quite, and I'm not really sure if that's the answer, like if one is going to be bigger than the other, or if it was just my measurement. Because it's like that much at the bottom, that much off.
Mine did the same thing, where like
I bet that's
it's just a
measurement
bit
and
off.
stuff. So this was my rectangle, and I cut it like this because I knew that the corner, the corner is a half, but I wondered if you did a little bit here. This was the corner, And if you went a little bit farther than the corner.
Yeah. I do see that it may or may not be a cutting error because the space from the corner on this one is smaller than the space from the corner on that one. I kind of got the same thing. I'm not sure if mine is a cutting error.
I think it's a cutting error.
That's what it looked like, and there's just that.
Yeah.
I can see that my edge is a bit curved too, so like my cut was not a straight cut. Yeah. So maybe if I cut it straighter, then this wouldn't belly out so much, or this one wouldn't be curved in a little bit.
So the question now is our strategy good? If we were perfect artists and we were perfect at cutting, would this strategy equally split our Brookie in half?
A good way to test that is by going back to our original rectangle. Two things to identify about our rectangles is that these two lines are the same and these two lines are the same. So if you cut, let's use my my cut as an example. If you cut off this chunk, it should match up with that chunk. And if it did, you would know that you did it perfectly, along with if both of the other sides were all correct. If these sides lined up and these sides lined up, and then when you go in here, so we have this line, and if the amount that you cut from equals the amount that you cut from here, then you'll know that you have exactly half. So we're using math and geometric thinking to understand that our strategy is good, even if we're not perfect artists.
So are there any other ways we could cut our Brookie?
I'm sure, yeah.
All right, let's see. Okay, we've got a few more. So what I did was I folded my paper in half to see where the middle mark was, which is right here, and I made it at the bottom too. And then I made a mark that is just a little bit farther this way from the half mark. And then I did approximately the same amount going this way, and then I drew a line to connect them.
On this one, I just went out from the corner instead of out from the middle, and I did that on both sides.
So we didn't cut any of these in half. How can we find out and how can we know that these lines will cut the Brookie in half?
Well, we can do some color coding. If we go along the line with different colors, then we can see how they all add up.
Alright, so what I did with mine is I color coded to show that this amount was the same, was equal to this amount. This amount, the red amount, was the same as this red amount, and the yellow amount was the same as the yellow amount, and the line, the blue, is just equal to itself.
Okay, I think we can add these to the board using our tape.
Wow, we have a lot of ways we could split in our Brookie.
Yeah, let's see if we can spot any patterns in all of them.
I noticed that they're either straight, like these ones, well, attempted.
They're all straight.
Well, yes, I mean straight across.
Okay.
Or they're diagonal.
I noticed that they're each a distance away from either the middle here or the middle here. And however far away from one side, it's the same on the other when we have a half. And that goes for both this line and this line.
Are there any points that every single line has?
Yes. It's this point right here, right in this very, very center. It's in every single one of them.
So does that mean that any line that goes through the center would cut the Brookie equally?
Let's test out this idea.
What we're going to do is take this Sharpie, we're going to put it through the center and spin it around to see if every way we spin it through the center will split it equally in half. We're not doing this perfectly, but we're visually checking it and seeing if it works out. What do you think?
I think that every possible point that goes through the center will split it in half by looking at it visually.
So how many different ways are there to cut our Brookie?
Well, if you can cut it in half by going every single way around the center, that means that there are an infinite amount of solutions.
So we could cut this Brookie any way if it goes through the center. What way do we want to cut this Brookie?
You get to choose.
All right. I don't just want to do it diagonal or something.
Okay.
Let's do it. We go from here
To there.
Here.
There we go.
You cut it, so I call dibs on this one. You cut it, I pick it.
Okay, but that means I get all the extras here. Thanks for playing math with us.